What are we doing?
I don't know.
What are we even doing? In this episode, we are introducing the Video Lab's new CEO. This is the Video Lab show where we talk about video marketing, video content, and video platforms, and I'm excited for this episode.
But it has so elevated the quality of the content that you view the product, even if the product is information, you view it differently because of the lens that it's being viewed.
What you could do in an afternoon would take me several weeks or months.
I'm not scared or worried about it. I have all the confidence in the world that we'll be able to keep moving forward.
Well, Erica, welcome to the Video Lab. Welcome to the Video Lab show. First of all, but welcome to the Video Lab as CEO. Now, we've known each other for 22 years. We've been married for 20 of those years and have a 15-year-old, have a 16-year-old. But now you're the CEO of the Video Lab. Where did this come from?
It's been in the works for almost 20 years.
Well, I mean, that has been one of the things that we've been wanting to do for a long time is work together. And leading up to this, the timing wasn't right.
Right.
You know, but now the timing's right. And I'm excited to have you on board as CEO of the Video Lab because there's a lot of stuff that happens at the Video Lab that my mind just does not work that way. So that's where you come in. That's where a lot of your expertise comes in. So you just want to explain just a little bit about your background and how first, let's go here. How was your first couple weeks at the Video Lab? Let's talk about that first, and then we'll get into some of your background. So how was your first couple weeks?
The very first week was a little rough. I broke a tripod on our first offsite shoot and locked us out of the house. But other than that, it was great. I think that moving from a highly regulated industry like banking, which is where I was previously, everything was very black and white, to a content creation industry, things are very different. That's a little bit different. I think we've been unofficially working together for the entire time that you've been doing this. So if, we're at home, we're constantly bouncing ideas off of each other. And I've been doing the books and a lot of the other admin stuff. Outside of there, we're very collaborative and we think differently. And so that's been really beneficial. It'll be exciting, though, it's been exciting already the first couple of weeks, but I feel like we're still just getting acclimated to it once those initial first, trying to figure things out is done and I'm settled, which I feel like I'm definitely getting there. We'll really get rolling and be able to do some more
Well,
stuff.
I was kind of like, are you sure you don't want to take like a week off or something? After, after your last day at your previous job, I was like, are you sure you don't want to take, a few days off, a week off and just kind of settle for a little bit? But you're like, no, let's go. Let's hit the ground running, which I appreciate that about you. And that first week, like you said, was very eventful because we had several shoots. We went on location in Pier on a shoot, and that's where you broke the tripod.
Yeah. It just
right
happened.
before we started recording too, as we were setting out.
I also want to say I did fix it before the shoot.
Yes,
So
we were able to use that tripod. I will say that it's not operating at full capacity, but that's going to be okay. That's going to be okay. Like you said, we kind of been working together a little bit in a collaborative effort kind of since, I started doing video production back in 2012. So you've been the support system, you've been in it, but now you're like fully immersed. And here's one of the things I think is really cool is that you've actually been practicing like making videos within this first few weeks as well.
That's rough.
Well, here's the thing, like now you know what it's like, right? Like you haven't been really making videos. You've done presentations and things like that, your previous job, and trainings, but you haven't really been making content and videos. And that's like a whole different ball game. And so being behind the camera, what's that kind of been like, actually preparing behind the camera and then putting yourself on camera and actually making some videos?
Yeah, I think even just the type of content that we're making is completely different. I was a corporate trainer for about 7 years, and then for about 7 years beyond that, I was an AVP within the organization. So very familiar with presenting content in a training environment or a formal setting. I was responsible for a lot of video messages to the team, and that's not the tone that we use for the sort of content that I'm working on making for the video lab. And so just trying to shift the tone is
Yeah.
a little bit different. It definitely allows me to have a better, fuller understanding of strategy and the systems and approaches that we use, the gear,
Yeah.
and apps and everything. So when we're talking to clients, I have a fuller understanding of like what the behind the camera or in front of the camera, I should say,
Right.
side of it actually looks like.
Yeah, because now it's a little bit more relatable when clients come in and, like have to sit down here in this
Yeah.
chair and be like, okay, what is this
Right.
like? Talking to a camera, first of all, being in the lights
Yeah.
and having a lot going on
Right.
when you're trying to like purvey a message, or
Yeah.
is purvey a word? I'm not
Convey might be
convey
what you're looking for.
convey. See, that's why you're CEO, right?
I think that this almost is a little bit more comfortable. I don't know about for everybody, but I'm talking to you. Even if you weren't here, I feel like this would be much more similar to what I did before. It's talking to a phone
Yeah.
by myself for
Yeah.
content that is the whole finding your voice is a real thing.
Yeah.
And determining like how can you communicate that in a way that doesn't feel clunky and awkward, and not clunky and awkward to me because that's probably always going to feel that way, but
Yeah.
clunky and awkward to the person on the other side.
Now we've said, you've been in it since 2012, kind of like on the financial side of it and all that. You've been an incredible support, especially for me, like making YouTube videos and all that as well, being an incredible support. When it comes to the video lab and when we started the video lab, it was kind of this thing where, I was able to personally get the creative side down, right? I was able to put the cameras together. I was able to design the sets and everything. And then when it like came to this one piece, I don't know if this is in the camera. This is in the camera. There is like this one barrier that I was kind of banging my head up against. And I've talked to several people about this. That that barrier was an organizational barrier, like right up here. And I feel like that's kind of where you come in to take that. So what have you kind of learned like throughout your previous employment,
Yeah.
previous job that you feel like prepares you for something like this?
Yeah, so I started my last position, I shouldn't say position, but my last job in 2010. I worked there until about 2012 when I became their corporate trainer and did that for about 7 years and was in charge of rolling out new products and services, finding efficiencies, and creating standard operating procedures, which is not one of your strong suits.
Definitely not one of my strong suits, by any means. Well, I think what
You
what
have procedures, they're just not
yeah, they're
documented.
not documented, and I feel like what takes me like, what you could do in an afternoon would take me several weeks or months, or I just put it off completely
It's like,
because I'm
hit that.
and it just doesn't happen, and it's like those types of things that I feel like for the video lab to kind of go to that next level and, be fully operational, like those things need to be in place. And, one of the things that I see, we'll get into this in a little bit, but down the road, like I would love, even if the video lab is not like replicable, and we don't put it in multiple locations, I still want it to feel like it's replicable
Yeah.
and operate in a way that can be replicated,
Right.
And I feel like I'm not the person to organize all that stuff and put all that stuff together. I can take care of all this right here, totally fine. But when it comes to some of those things, then I, I mean, that's where you come in.
I think our other podcast episode that is over on your personal YouTube channel the other day was a great example. We kicked it off by putting up a question that somebody had posed on a different video, and then he talked about it for a while and never answered the question.
Oh, yeah. That is true. We did do
And
that.
so I made sure at the end that we circled back and actually addressed the question. You're always been the creative spirit in our relationship. And while I worked at the financial institution that I did, that gave you the freedom to not only create creatively, but what I have been so appreciative of is you really poured your time into our boys as well.
Mhm.
And so picking them up from school, taking them, just all of the things. If they needed pickup, the school was calling you.
Yeah.
And that has been just a balance that
Totally.
we worked out that was perfect for us.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, it was always clear from when I met you that you weren't going to be the sort of person that was going to, your spirit might have died if you had to do an 8 to 5. And not to say that you didn't work really hard to get the studio up and running. I think that's something that a lot of people don't know about the story is
Yeah.
that, when you got started, you were working 3 jobs so that you could take care of the boys and we didn't send them to daycare, but you could also save up money to buy equipment
Yeah.
so that we could start this from the ground up. And so the stuff that I was doing at the credit union that I worked at will be really I can bring that over here, which is fantastic. And so a lot of things that I did in my AVP role, I was a assistant vice president of operations in IT and did things like data analysis, vendor management, contract negotiations, a lot of those things that you were talking about earlier from an administrative point of view. You're not able to make more videos or more content or do more coaching and strategy with people because you're spending time on doing things like payroll or negotiating collaborations with folks or sponsorships, affiliates, things like that. I'll be able to take over those things because as the studio has grown, the number of requests that come
Yes.
in for those things have grown as well. And so you just spend so much time going through those items, and I'll be able to really take care of that, I think, which will be really helpful. There's also a lot of data to analyze.
Yes. 100%.
Not your favorite thing. Love that. Give me a spreadsheet and some numbers. I'll
Yeah.
take care of that all day long.
They kind of make me cringe.
Yeah.
Not gonna lie, spreadsheets kind of make me cringe.
So I think that there's just so much from what I did previously that I can bring over here. So I think that would be the question is with me coming on board, like, what does that look like for you? How does that's what I'll be able to bring to the table, but how does that change what you'll do now?
Yeah. So let me put it this way. I do get comments quite a bit of like, oh, I see you online all the time. Well, now that you're taking over some of this stuff, just wait because there will be even more coming up in 2026 content pieces because, that'll really allow me to kind of focus in on some of that stuff. And I want to say like, sales type things, but yes, it'll be like, um, meeting with people and being out networking. I just went to a new event yesterday that I just joined. SME of Sioux Falls, which seems like a great organization. I will be spending time doing that, but also making content like similar to this that will constantly be online, generating awareness and getting people to know what the Video Lab is, as well as some of my own personal content as well for my YouTube channel, because that is a revenue stream for me. And that YouTube channel has also provided a lot of other opportunities for our family that I want to keep pursuing. Because even the boys now, they talk about like, when are we doing this? Because, and a lot of that came from that YouTube channel.
Yeah.
And, going back to like 2012 and, starting this whole thing, like, I feel like as a family, we made a lot of sacrifices. I don't want to be like, oh, look at like he's talking about making sacrifices, all that, but we made it. We were very intentional
Yeah.
on some of the decisions that we made starting going down this road. Finally, we are able to work together. It's been a long ride, but we wanted to do this debt free, right? Like we didn't take out business loans and things like that to start this thing. You mentioned I worked several jobs. I worked several jobs up until at the time of recording this, like 2 years ago, for doing some of this stuff. I've been in ministry for 18 years and as well as some other odds and ends jobs of just like trying to get gear, pay off gear. Since I started my YouTube channel, a lot of the gear now comes to me and I'm not purchasing a whole lot of gear anymore. But I do feel like there was a lot of just from like an insider look
Right.
into family life, there was a lot of sacrifices that we made that even the boys talk about that sometimes of like our 2 sons talk about that sometimes of like their friends do a lot of things that we just never did,
Right.
Um, And so I just feel like that was a big piece in kind of all of this stuff coming together. And ultimately it was a family dream of ours to be able to work together. That doesn't work for everybody.
Right.
That's totally fine. But I think since we got married, like that was kind of the thing of like the the vision, the dream that we kind of had to be able to do some of this stuff together and work together on this. But that kind of leads to what's coming up for the video lab and all this. You asked, what does this change for me? I talked a little bit about just the ability to kind of focus in more on that creative side and content side and creating awareness side. But I think another thing too is like a lot of my mindset and brain power is probably going to let me put it this way. I have a lot of ideas, and sometimes that drives you crazy. But I do have a lot of ideas for the video lab and what it could be, where it could go. And I would like to work towards making those things happen. And so a lot of my effort is going to be going into that. We've established a pretty good base, and just the amount of I think I think I want to take it to a turn where it's like these pro packages that we're going to be offering. I think that's like kind of the next step in the life of the video lab of like offering these pro packages and like really getting people like the strategy side,
Yeah.
right? Because we've had it where you just come in and record, right? And that's fantastic. We needed to start that way. But now it's like, let's get into the strategy piece and like really turn the dial up on some of your content that you're making in here. So, um, I don't. Do you have any input on that? The future of the video lab, like what kind of where we're going, looking forward for this next year?
I think that making your own content is such an important part of that for us because when we started the business, we were really passionate about, and I shouldn't even say started the business. I should go back to when you started making videos
Yeah.
at the very beginning. You've always felt that that was storytelling is something that's very important for you and that you are especially gifted with that, I feel like. And so, but together, we felt like the videos that are made can make a difference.
Yeah,
And
absolutely.
so I think that that's something that looking forward is really important. And I know you had just made a post with a quote that somebody had put on one of your
Oh, yeah.
YouTube videos
Yep.
about they are starting a podcast studio and they're like, you helped me get to this point.
Yeah.
And so knowing and understanding about how the content that you make and the encouragement and coaching and strategy that you provide others, it really does make a difference, not only in their own lives, but the lives of, their clients and things like that. I think that also just one more thing looking back as well before we look forward, because it really ties together is you have had studios in the past,
Mm-hmm.
but they were inside of other
Yeah.
places,
Yeah. Other organizations.
other organizations, and so it wasn't our name on the lease.
Right.
And the last place that you shared space with was ready to move
Yeah.
and invited you to move with them.
Yep.
You guys had a very symbiotic relationship. It worked really well. You've had a great relationship with all the places
Absolutely.
that you'd been in the past. And they wanted you to move with. And after looking at the space, like it just wasn't the right fit.
Yeah.
And so trying to figure out what did that mean for us.
Yeah.
And
Well, I was like, do I move back home? You know,
yeah,
I move
where you were during COVID.
to the basement. You know, set that up.
I mean, real questions were
Yeah.
being had about
Yep.
like, what does this look like for us? And I think it was such a time of discomfort
Mm-hmm.
because moving to a new space where you're signing a long-term lease and
Yeah.
it was our name on there and just really trying to be intentional about how we moved through these things. Was it ready? Were we ready?
Right.
And really felt like now was the time to do that. Just being so grateful for how uncomfortable
Yeah.
was
Yeah.
because I think, again, like people see where we are now and they're like, oh, this just fell into place. And like it did fall into place,
Right.
but it wasn't necessarily easy or comfortable to get here.
Yeah.
And so
Mm.
that I know as we continue to grow, there will be new things in the next year, 2 years, 3 years,
Yeah.
whatever down the road, that new things that make us uncomfortable will come up that are opportunities and create friction
Mm.
within the business model to say, like you were talking about earlier, like, are we going to replicate? That's one option,
Right.
one channel, one route,
And that's
one
big
path.
thinking, right?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
That's big thinking up here.
But I think that there's other things too. I mean, AI brings a whole nother piece into the conversation about like, where is this going? What does this look like?
Totally.
And so as those come up, I think that we'll have to really, talking about the future. We don't know.
Yeah,
We've talked about, I
Yeah.
know that video will look very different in 3 to 5 years than it looks right now.
that is
Right.
true. Yeah.
We don't know how it will look different, but we know that it will. And so part of, I feel like my role up in the organization is staying top of trends. Like
Mhm.
that's yours as well.
Yeah.
But to determine strategy so we can figure out like where are we going
Yeah.
in the future and what does that look like so for us. um I think that no matter what that time brings, like I'm not scared or worried about it. I have all the
Right.
confidence in the world that we'll be able to keep moving forward. So I don't know what the future looks like. I've
Yeah.
only been here a couple weeks.
Yeah, that is true. That is true. You have fully immersed yourself in,
I have.
but that is true. You only have been here for a couple of weeks, and the video industry changes like crazy. Like I knew one of the things, when I initially rebranded into the Video Lab in 2023, it really had 3 parts to it. First of all was like the online education piece of just like teaching people how to make videos and content. The other piece was the studio piece. Then the third section was just corporate video that I've been doing since 2012. But that video piece, so I started kind of with the online section, but that I realized afterwards, after we signed that first lease in the Rock Island building, that was the wrong direction. And so that was kind of like a very big shift that mindset wise I had to make, because as soon as we moved into that studio, I started getting requests almost right away
Yeah, it was quick.
for um like this style of content. And so what what that told me is that there was definitely a need and people wanted to use a studio setting for like this type of content. And there's fantastic like podcast opportunities in Sioux Falls. Some of the agencies have different setups and everything for their clients, but there really wasn't a spot that was dedicated for this type of content. Um, and so once that happened, things started moving very fast,
Yep.
almost like to the point where we couldn't keep up because we were in the Rock Island building. You might have seen it. I've done some of these podcast episodes in that building. It's beautiful brick and everything. And so we set that up, first of all, it's just like a spot with podcasting in there. Then we divided it up. We brought our studio tech, Rihanna, on board, and then we divided it up.
Because you're getting so many requests.
Yeah, we were getting requests for it to where is like then we needed like the different spots. I don't know if this is showing up on camera very well, but like we needed I wanted the original idea of the content studio. I wanted different video sets that people could choose from.
Yeah.
So we tried that in that room. But it wasn't like it wasn't right. It didn't feel right. First of all, that room is beautiful and it needs to be wide open.
Yes.
And I think that was one of the major pieces of that.
Yep.
Is that we just needed to open it back up.
Yeah.
But then we visited a couple studios in Vegas, one of them being Vegas Content Studio. Shout out to Chris. And touring his space was really eye-opening.
Totally.
Because he had like the separate rooms. It was a beautiful building, first of all, in Las Vegas, where it's nice and warm and feels good in the desert heat. I wouldn't want to live in Las Vegas, but that's a whole nother side note. But his studio was beautiful. But one of the things is he had like different offices that he set up as video rooms. And I was like, I feel like this is what needs to happen.
Because at that point, we had known that we were probably going to be moving out of the space that we were in.
Yeah. Yep.
And so the real question at that time was, do you get one large room,
Right.
which we had,
Yeah, which we
and
already.
leave it broken up?
Yeah.
Or do you, because you had seen a lot of different podcast studios online, and
Yes.
some people either did it all as one large space
Yep.
with multiple sets inside of that one bigger room,
Yep.
or like Chris, they would have rooms with doors on them. Each
Yeah.
set was
Yep.
within its own enclosed space. And so I think that that was such a game changer for us to be able to walk in and see what he was doing, how he was doing it. He was so generous with his
Yeah,
time,
definitely.
really answered a lot of questions for
Mhm.
us. And I think walking away, we both knew like, this is it.
Yeah. And so we actually looked at places on the plane to to come look at here in Sioux Falls while we were flying back. And we're like, let's go look at that place. And so we set up a tour, and basically it was like, okay, this is going to be it, and we're going to try it out. We have a month to set it up
Well,
because I want to launch in June.
when you're saying things happen quickly, within an hour of getting off the plane from Las Vegas, we were in the space that we're in currently, looking at it.
Yep.
And I'm pretty sure we signed the lease the next day.
Yes.
I mean, to your
Yeah.
point from earlier, you have a lot of ideas.
I do.
I hear,
Yeah.
I mean, 3 to 5 new ideas a day might be on the low end.
Oh, yeah. That's probably true.
And
Yeah.
so, but when I am ready to move on something, like I'm like, it's go time. Like,
Yeah.
let's go. Let's move really quickly. And so that was one of them. When you had been having me look at, like I said, we've been working unofficially together for a very long time. So talking strategy about the business was nothing new. I had been looking up these studios that you had been showing me online, but seeing Chris's model there really kind of fleshed that out for me, because you're visionary, you could see all these things.
Yeah.
And sometimes I need a little bit more touch and feel
Yeah.
to see some of that. And so it was definitely at that point that I caught the vision. It also helps that when we were at NAB, so it was not only seeing that studio, but seeing some of the equipment that you were
Totally.
going to be using. And so as soon as we got back, it was look at the building, sign the lease. Now you have, like you said, 1 month to get
Yeah.
this place up and running.
And I traveled to Austin, Texas
Yeah.
within that time frame.
Yeah. It was a lot.
Yeah.
But I feel like every time we decide to move, it is always a lot. Or I
Yeah.
don't even move physically, but move like whatever shift we're doing in the business. It's always a lot.
Yeah, that is true. Because when we signed the first lease in the Rock Island building, I had a trip, like a 2-week trip to Japan during the time of signing that lease. And then signing the lease here,
Yeah.
I had a trip to Austin, Texas within that time frame.
Also, when we got the Rock Island building, because you were gone to Japan for so long, and I'm like, we can't pay for this lease and have nothing happening. So when you got back, we had to work very quickly to get it up and running.
Yeah.
In a different way that we had to work to get this space up and
Yeah,
running.
totally.
But that involved a trip for something very specific to Minneapolis.
Oh, I forgot about that.
We woke up really early, drove from Sioux Falls to Minneapolis to go to IKEA.
Wait, time out. Nope, let's reverse this, because we were actually in Omaha and we drove down to Kansas City.
Oh, yeah.
To
Sorry,
IKEA.
Sorry. Okay.
Yeah. Okay, now continue.
We woke up because we wanted a specific piece of furniture that was not available at the Minneapolis store. And so we had driven down to Omaha, where my parents live, woke up really early, left Omaha, drove to Kansas City.
Yes.
Thank you for that reminder. While we were in the showroom there, which is why it's so important to have showrooms.
Showroom of IKEA in Kansas City.
Yeah. We, because we got there, I think, like right when it opened.
Yes, totally did.
And found something else we wanted. Doesn't that always happen when you're at IKEA? We found what we wanted, and so we got that, but we found more things that we needed for the studio, which were not available at the Kansas City location. So we picked up what we needed. We had already ordered it online. It was sitting there. They loaded it up.
It's great.
And we're like, let's just run through while we're here, see if there's anything else we want to pick up.
Mistake.
Oh, darn. There is something else here. So we drove from Omaha to Kansas City, ran through the whole IKEA, picked up what we needed, drove to Minneapolis same day.
Yeah. What are we doing?
I don't know.
What are we doing?
It was a long day in the car.
Oh my goodness. That drive from Kansas City to Minneapolis That was so long and boring. What are we even doing?
I think,
But yeah, that was the case. Like,
yeah.
we specifically something in Kansas City, we went down there for,
Yeah.
went to the showroom in Kansas City, found something, was not in stock in Kansas City, but was in stock in Minneapolis. And we're like, that needs to be in there in the studio. So let's drive to Minneapolis
I
and go
did
to another.
say
We did 2 IKEAs in one day.
I did say that we should have some sort of an award or a certificate
Yeah.
for going to 2 IKEAs in one day and driving there. I mean, we should have points.
Yeah. Pro IKEA points or
We
something.
do hit IKEAs in a lot of different places because when we went to Orlando, I think we went
Yeah, we
to
did.
an IKEA there,
Yeah.
and I didn't go to the one in Japan. I don't
So
know if you went to the one in Japan.
I didn't go to the one in Japan, no. But IKEA is a vibe,
Next.
so yeah, next time we go there. But yeah, I mean, things did move pretty quickly, and I just wanna give a shout out to you and your dad and our boys who, helped put this whole
Mhm.
studio thing together and spent, like, many hours in the month of May, days and hours, late hours,
Weeks.
honestly, to getting this space ready because we launched this space from basically the time of signing the lease to like the very first recording in here, having clients in here was about a month.
Yeah.
So I had some designs that I put together, and I kind of like wanted to see how it came together. So I had some designs in the back of my mind and on paper that, well, actually, it was digital, but same thing that I wanted to see come to life. And it was awesome just kind of seeing everything, come to life really when it's all said and done.
You say that very casually, but you made these very detailed drawings in Canva, and they came out almost identical to what you had drawn. When I say that you're a visionary, I mean, you really did have a vision for exactly what you wanted it to
Yeah.
look like, and we were able to execute, which I think is fantastic. Sometimes you have visions and we aren't able to execute them for a variety of different reasons, but yeah, this one came together, I think, almost exactly like what you wanted, and our clients love it. I love it. It looks great.
Yeah, I mean, and now it's like kind of like a fine tuning things, right? Like tweaking things, fine tuning things, maybe changing the lighting. You know, Rihanna will probably laugh at this. She's behind the cameras right now, but I'll have a cup of coffee in my hand and I'll be like, I'm just thinking about the lighting in here, like every day, right, Rihanna? Yeah, like every day. And she's laughing back there, but it's kind of like, that's just kind of like what I'm thinking all the time of like,
Yeah.
how can this be improved? How can it look better? And, what's little things that we can tweak to just make it an awesome experience for people when they make their content.
I think we have always also been very client-led.
Mhm.
Even talking about when we got the studio at the Rock Island space,
Yeah.
you were doing still more of the corporate,
Yep.
but almost immediately you were getting these podcast requests.
Yeah.
And so that was something you were already very interested in, but as
Totally.
soon as you saw the need for that, you were changing. And so we still have that space and we use that for events, but within the studio here, when you receive feedback from people or when you're receiving requests for
Yeah.
things, I mean, in the short period of time that I've been here, the amount of requests that you've gotten for strategy, collaboration, coaching on a whole bunch of different things is has been really impressive. And I think, again, like me being able to take some of that other stuff
Mhm.
allows you to speak into it. I've been able to participate in some of those because, again, like you and I have been really part of that strategy conversation from the very beginning. But we do still have that other studio space,
Yep.
and that's been an exciting thing too to see how people have been able to utilize it for events,
Yeah.
which is totally different than how you were using it for corporate video previously or how these are used for podcasting.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I don't know, it's been kind of fun, and one of the things that, research that I've done, like a lot of the content well, not a lot of the content studios, a couple of the content studios that I've seen, they have that event space
Mhm.
and utilize it, um, and it's an opportunity for like, the value in the event space blows my mind
Right.
because you can have an in-person workshop. I'm just gonna go over this real quick. I mean, this is not a sales pitch or anything, sort of is, but it's like you can have an in-person workshop. You could charge people to come to that workshop, right? You get that whole workshop recorded that you can toss behind a paywall and have people pay online to take that workshop. And then you can cut it up, make little pieces of teasers, content, however you want to do that. And then we can set up a testimonial booth for you to where people that come to your workshop will give a testimonial on camera for what you're doing, like just your organization as a whole or that particular workshop. And then you have all that content as well. I mean, the value of that space is through the roof.
I think what the folks who have utilized it already have seen is the value of really high quality audio as well as really high quality video, because I know personally I have been on so many Zoom trainings or other
Yeah.
online trainings, webinars, whatever it is,
Yeah.
and it's been such a boring background and maybe not the greatest audio.
Yeah. Usually it's not.
But when you have something that's like that, even if it's short, it could only
Yeah.
be an hour long. We're not talking about has to be a day-long
no.
seminar or anything like that.
No.
But it has so elevated the quality of the content that you view the product, even if the product is information.
Yeah.
You view it differently because of the lens that it's being viewed
Yeah.
through.
And we've had testimonials like that. I mean, even for this space,
Yes.
like we've had testimonials of like it's the quality of it makes them seem professional
Yes, right there.
and taken more seriously
Yeah.
because of the professionalism and the quality in the product
Mhm.
ultimately of the content. So
I think that
Yeah.
goes to what we were talking about earlier about believing that the videos or the content that's made here really can change people's lives.
Yeah.
If it's somebody who's a coach or, a trainer or anything along those lines, if they're trying to provide these coaching sessions to people
Yeah.
and they're doing it in their basement and you can have some good green screen effects. There's some pretty good programs out there
Yeah,
for that, but
that's janky. But
maybe it's not the best and you have that weird halo effect around you where the audio isn't great. And then you compare that to what the quality could be like. And I understand that there's a cost differential
Oh, yeah.
there as well, but
100%.
it could really be interpreted differently and taken differently
Yeah.
when it's presented a little bit differently. So excited for that space. Excited that we have both locations now and just waiting to see where we've got a vision for 2026. I'm super pumped to be able to
Yeah.
execute on it.
And I mean, that's the thing. Like, I'm excited that you're here. I'm excited that you're on board especially as CEO, because that it's going to change things around here. And we're only a few weeks in, so there's a long way to go. But for what we're doing here in the future, I'm excited for this next phase of the video lab, especially. And I mean, that's all I have for this episode. Yeah.
Awesome.
Well, if you want to learn more about video marketing, video content, or video platforms, make sure you hit the subscribe button and you won't miss out on any future episodes. If you have any questions about the Video Lab or those things that I just mentioned, video marketing, video content, or video platforms, let us know down in the comments. And those are things that we'll talk about on this podcast. But once again, Erica, it's good to have you here and I'm excited for what's going on. So
Thanks so much.
all right. Well, and we'll be on other episodes. This is not the last time
Might
that
be ready
you're
for the next one.
yeah, this is not the last time that you're going to see Erica on an episode. All right. Have a good one.